Well, the world of insurance can be a little mundane and a little headache-inducing, but having the right coverage when disaster strikes can make all the difference in making a bad situation just a little bit easier to bear. Now, this was especially true with the flooding that struck Pocatello recently, and today Tracy Bixby from Homeland Real Estate, she's stopping in to fill us in on who should be considering flood insurance. So first off, who needs that?
Well, about a month ago, none of us in Pocatello, unless we were in a floodplain, thought we needed it. Who would have guessed that we would ever have as much rain as we did? And the interesting thing about it is that it condensed in certain areas. So even though you were close to the river, you may not have gotten a lot of water. But in the inner parts of Pocatello, they had, well, as we all know, it just pooled. And so I would recommend that people obtain flood insurance maybe just for their basement.
Okay.
Flood insurance can be very expensive, ranging anywhere from $600 to $2,000 a year. Very, very costly. But you can go to a government website and see if your address is in a floodplain. If it is not, it's going to be far less to get. So maybe you could get a policy just for your basement and pay only $600 a year for that insurance, and it would be a very wise choice. You never know.
Right. What's that website that people can check out for the government?
SmartGov.
Okay.
Yes, Flood SmartGov.
Flood SmartGov. Okay.
Yes.
So does that kind of insurance, does that cover covers the building, obviously? How does it work with covering your belongings?
Well, it's interesting. It's not as full of coverage as you would think. So if your basement floods and you have flood insurance, it's only going to cover your mechanics. It's going to cover your furnace, if you have an air conditioning unit, things like that, maybe your water softener.
So more hardware kind of stuff.
Yes, your contents are a different coverage. So you could be covered only up to $100,000 for your contents. Now for us in Pocatello, that's probably going to be sufficient.
Right.
Going to cover our contents, our furniture, our clothing, our game tables, whatever we've got in the basement. But your mechanics, that's a big expensive part. If you've got a furnace sitting on a floor and you get 4 inches of water, it most likely is going to get up inside that motor and destroy that furnace.
All the electronics for my furnace are about 2 inches off the floor, so it'd be done.
Yes.
Where can people, I guess, shop for this kind of insurance? You just talk to your insurance agent?
Yes, absolutely. Call your insurance agent, find out what coverage you do have. Do a review of that policy, which is a good idea annually anyway, to make sure you've got enough coverage. And then if you're not living in the home and using it as a rental, make sure your insurance agent knows that, because you don't want to be caught having insurance as if you were living in the home when in fact you're not. It's a slightly different coverage.
Differently written policy. Okay.
So make sure your insurance agent knows exactly if you're renting it, if you're occupying it. If you have a basement, get a quote from them for a coverage for that basement. And then a couple really helpful hints. What we saw in Pocatello is that had people been a little more careful with their gutters, their downspouts, and their extensions, so often the builders will just stop that gutter right at the corner of the home. Yeah. Let's make sure those are extended out 4 and sometimes 8 feet away from your home. Make sure your window wells are sealed up to your home. And make sure that your soil hasn't sloped in toward the foundation.
Settled back.
Which is going to cause water to run straight toward that basement. Few precautions can go a long ways when we're getting 2 or 3 inches of rain in an afternoon.
Right. Well, hey, thank you very much for stopping by this morning.